Bonjour, everyone, and welcome to No Man's Sky. I apologize for being so late in uploading my videos. As you may have not known, I created another channel for music. You can see it right there. Right there. I put a wild card up there. And so, I've been busy in work at the same time in that channel as well. You can check it out. It's all about music and stuff, and acoustic covers and some original songs. But right now I'm playing No Man's Sky, which is a game that I have been anticipating for a while. And I would like to speak about the state of this game and also this PC port, because as you may have not known, I'm a PC player, but only on a laptop. Ooh, fascinating, huh? And so, I'd like to show you my settings here because I'm playing on a 780M with a 4700MQ CPU. And so, I'd like to show you my graphics on high, all of them. The anisotropic filtering is actually broken in that it never actually works. So you have to resort to using the NVIDIA control panel in just overriding the filtering options there. You can go into 16 times. It's not much of a hitter, and it doesn't actually cost you any frames. Max FPS, I've tried to cap this to 30 because this is what the video is actually displaying on YouTube. Because 60, I can reach 60, but it's not that consistent because this port is actually not that great. But however, if you're planning to cap it on 30, it suffices. On foot field of view, I've tweaked it to 90 because it's what makes me comfortable the most. I've turned off VSync, sorry, because it has some problems, and I've tried to resort also in using NVIDIA's own adaptive VSync, and at the same time turning on triple buffering to minimize input lag, basically. So I've also turned on FXAA. You have choices here: super sampling ×4 off, and FXAA. At the same time, I've also overridden this option, or I think enhanced it, using FXAA at the same time in NVIDIA control panel. So basic options right there: generation detail, give it in high, reflection quality, shadow quality. Actually, shadow quality goes to ultra, but then I would like to see my options uniform, so high. See, looks good. High, looks uniformed. Options you see here, pretty much basic ones: music, SFX. And here, sensitivity is where I am boggled with, because I don't think that at the moment this setting is actually working. I've tried setting this to the lowest possible, which is 0. Doesn't work. It still is very jumpy, and I think that has to do with some acceleration thingy. So I'll just leave it with that, and I'm currently using controller to mitigate that issue, because it just throws me off. And also worthy of notice in here is the way this little circular cursor is still persisting despite switching to a gamepad. And this issue is also echoed by some of the reviews, saying that the menus are somewhat awkward to navigate because of this, mouse cursory thingy, which also is kind of awkward when you have to select things, because as you might notice earlier, when I tried to input this confirmation, it loads a bit. It doesn't translate instantly into recognizing your input as okay. Instead, it tries to load. See that progress bar loading a bit, which is weird, and I don't really understand how and why they try to decide in using that. So pretty much simple menus here. You navigate with both the bumpers, and just go to the inventory, and this is where I was turned off a bit about this game, because the game opens up basically without no context of what you are, why you are here, and why your ship is broken and you have to fix it. The game then tries to throw upon you fetch quests. That is not exactly a very welcoming sequence for me when I expect such a hyped game to perform in its initial stages. I would like to see some bit of a lore, even, just a little bit of text here and there. But in here, the game opens up with you having to collect the necessary elements for your launch thruster, your pulse engine, and even for your suits. But upon just a few minutes of getting the hang of it without no tutorial, the game just basically throws you here, and then you're just free to imply what the game wants of you. The game is not that actually deep, and I think it's for the better actually, because for a obscure game such as this to not tell you things, it being more than deep than it actually has to be, is somewhat of an overwhelming affair, and so it will surely turn off players. And so right now I'm in the ship. I can't go anywhere because I've got not enough fuel. So what I have to do is I have to collect plutonium. And so you see that icon right there, the charge with the electricity red thingy. So basically what I have to do is get out of the ship and then have to use scan, which by the way is an upgradable item in your exosuit, and have to look for those red thingies, which is right there. I can see right there. And it's kind of weird because it's not exactly clear-cut how this game treats the player in just giving you a clear sense of the structure of this materials, because some items have the same icon, such as that electricity thingy, the red thingy, but then they do not exactly contain the exact element that you're looking for. Maybe I'm just slow to understand, or I'm maybe just missing something, but you can see here, launch thruster, collect plutonium. See that icon? It's red, and I have just stumbled upon the same icon a while ago, but I think it was thallium. Yep, it was thallium. So it's kind of weird and just tricky at the same time, and also confusing. I'm giving my hats off to Hello Games in that even the names for these creatures, the planets, are also procedurally generated, and so it's kind of cool that you won't see things repeat exactly, but then when you read them, they do not exactly give out a memorable name for them. Lekiopi Omnanrid. What? You already discovered this. However, this novelty of seeing things not repeat and basically count into 18 quintillion. This novelty, this certain sense of novelty, wears off a bit, even minutes in, really, because what you do here is basically the same. Oh, this one is an aggressive type, so better run away. Despite you're seeing an enormous amount of variety. Oh, ow, my word. I better run away. despite what you're seeing here is, very different every time. That kind of novelty thins off very quickly, because in context, what you do here is basically collect things, sell things, buy things, and even the NPCs, which are representative of the 4 different races in here, do not actually do anything, just stand there, wait around for you, just like an MMO game would, waiting for you to initiate some sort of dialogue system to them, by which you can navigate menus again and buy stuff, or just negotiate with them. However, there's this very cool text type of a dialogue system, in that you don't exactly understand what those alien races are saying. And so you have to find this monumental stones of sorts, so that you could transcribe their words into English. So that, I think, is also cool, despite the just the stagnant state of this game, really. Because, a lot of RPGs recently have just been so good in providing a world in which the player isn't exactly weighted upon. The world continues to exist despite the player being the sole reason for the game to progress, because that's what games are really. It waits for the player to initiate something, and then it will trigger the next set piece. But the illusion of some recent games, especially The Witcher 3 or Fallout 4, are so strong in that it gives you an impression that, you're not exactly the most important person in this world, because a lot of the NPCs living in here have also goals of their own. And it is a bit ironic that No Man's Sky, a game that's supposed to be boasting its 8 quintillion planets, is the most lifeless of all the open world games of this recent generation. But that's not exactly a bad thing, because I'm still enjoying the game. I think the micro game in this game is very fun. So I think I've collected enough. What also bothered me in this game is the actual mechanics themselves. The minute mechanics, such as shooting, walking around, are not exactly that impressive. And so this will be a problem for this game, because, as I've said, the novelty of seeing nearing infinite variations of a planet, of creatures, of plants, won't matter when the very mechanics of what you're actually doing in this game are not exactly impressive. Because when you look at these things, the soil, the flora, the fauna, and then understand how they are being generated, the variation aspect wouldn't exactly be as novel as it is the first hour you were amazed by it. Also, the soundtrack in this game is amazing. Just it's pure ambient track. I'm not exactly familiar with who created the soundtrack, but I hear it's a band, and I've heard them play in a award show once. They were pretty great, pretty rad. Let me scan this one. Oh, this is pretty horrible. Oh, this is an aggressive type. Better run away. Kayes Sigavizium. So I think I've gathered enough resources. I can go. Woohoo! And so another to take notice here. You cannot crash your plane at will. And this bugged me off a bit at first, because You know, since I have been a devoted GTA player, one of the first things that your mind tells you when you see a vista like this and you're such in a high position in an airplane is to crash yourself to death. And so I can look down, mind you, but the game would actually allow me to touch the ground, which is not that exactly a bad thing because sometimes the hand of the developer could enhance the playability of a game. In this case, it allows you to just be carefree, a little bit more relaxed in surfing this world. But you can also decrease your speed, increase your speed. You can also look up in space. And so in that regard, it still gives you the right amount of control in just flying around. How you land the ship is one of the greatest concerns before this game was out. Because, I was wondering if you have to manually navigate it, park it. And so because the game doesn't actually let you touch the ground while driving it, what you do is basically just press the B button or the initiate landing button and it will automatically park your spaceship. Press X, see there? I'm not actually doing anything. Just pressing X, the game does that for you. And so this presents funny glitches. For example, you may end up clipping in a tree, in a creature. For example, if I land it here, what it would... Oh, see? Oh, okay. So sometimes the game doesn't actually let you land immediately upon pressing X. So I think it's a little bit smart, for the game to actually choose specific terrain with a certain structural topography that allows the spaceship to at least make some thematic sense in parking its chassis, So I think I've stumbled upon an enemy and I can't pull out my weapon. Why? I don't know. You will get frustrated in this game, mind you. But then, when you begin to understand the intention behind some of the systems that this game has, you begin to sympathize a bit of a Stockholm syndrome, which is not exactly, a gamer's responsibility. But then that's me. It's my personal mantra in gaming. It becomes a very personal thing for me because, you have to understand that this game, as big as this game is, has been made by 4, 5, less than 10 people. And you're gonna get a lot of bugs, of course, because this is not exactly a company that would normally bring out super polished games because of their, enormous size. See, that is what I've been talking about, the clipping stuff. Because this game is not exactly perfect in, its countermeasures and glitches and stuff. And so you will see some issues like this. But the terrain is not exactly accommodating the structure of your ship in terms of allowing it to park. So these issues, kind of like Minecraft as well. Oh my, what really? This kind of issues do have to be forgiven, in my opinion. But then when you're giving out a review, they have to be addressed, and that's why you see No Man's Sky not performing too well with the critics. And I understand that. But then subjectively, this game really appeals to me, Boring periodic element simulator aside, the promise of discovering this game is pretty rad in my opinion. Despite this being a lifeless game with basically no mobile NPCs or sorts, just running around, and just the sheer thought that you are exploring just a quarter of an inch of a quarter of the majority of this game is very rad, and it adds to the sense of mystery and wonder every time you're going to play it. And you may notice some sort of stuttering effect here because every asset in this game is procedurally generated, and so you're not actually going to expect smooth performance when that amount of systemic algorithms are being run like every second, every time while you're playing the game. But I've tried to fix some of the problems in PC, especially the G-Sync option, which is hidden in the game folder. So what I did here is I went into the game folder of No Man's Sky, and there's a settings folder inside of it. So you go inside, and then there's this graphics settings dot mxml, I think. And then you have to open it in Notepad and navigate, find G-Sync option there, which is coded in true, which is very surprisingly weird, because why would a developer be defaulting to a true value for a G-Sync option that only applies to G-Sync specific monitors in the first place is mind-boggling. Ugh. So I tried to set it false, and then from what I can see here, the drops in my frame rate isn't that of a big issue now, but it still drops like micro stuttering here and there, like 0.5 frames. But I'm recording, so maybe that has to do with the recording itself and not exactly of the game. But so right now, the pop-in and the stuttering is not that big of a deal now because of that fix. So kudos to whoever found that fix. And so I think I've had enough of this red planetare. I'm going to go out. So you press look up, and then you hold B to engage boosts. And notice how seamless going out of space is. See, I'm already out of space. And if I can go back, I would see the planet right there. And so I had a long time just wrapping my head around this kind of system, because what they did here was they mapped the actual planet grounds while at the same time buffering the space parts of the game without having to implement a loading bar, loading screen, a loading transition of sorts. Maybe this is loading this part right here, but then when I look up, see, I could still see space. So that in itself is pretty rad. However, I do note that the transition between these planets in the space is actually pretty shallow, like very, very quick. And I do think that this is not how planets behave in real life. I'm here in the ground already. And so I think when you look up, I think that's really space now. And so I think it's a deliberate decision to not allow the player to be taken such enormous amounts of time transitioning out and in of planets, because that would be boring. So I'm here to engage my boost. Aha. See, that's very cool, man. As in the first time I had been doing this, it's very rad, very cool, and it makes up for the just the mundanity of its actual mechanics and its scavenging and collecting and surviving. And also, very worthy to notice is how it allows the player, this game, to just navigate and travel in whatever speed you'd want. You'd arrive in your destination. For example, in here I could see that I could arrive in 2 hours based on this speed, 150U. I don't know what U represents. However, if I use my hyperdrive, I could cut this out, really. So this is very neat in that it allows you to participate in the downtimes as you wish. Because sometimes, I just like to chill and, just soak it in. Just, I'm wanting an immersive experience, I could really immerse myself in exposing myself in mundane moments like waiting, which is exactly very weird for a gamer to do. But then sometimes, this is catharsis for me. Just seeing that planet slowly and slowly uh, go big, grow large into my vision is very rad for me. Down, okay. And in here, the sense of scale is really emphasized. This is just whoa. See? This is the kind of novelty that will surely impress you the most initially. But then, once you begin to understand that the variety in what you're actually doing doesn't exactly, vary largely, doesn't exactly evolve, then you begin to understand that yes, this is certainly a game made by humans. I look at this game as somewhat of an experimentation game. A game that dabbles into certain puddles of water that are not yet charted by many developers out there. And so, it's understandable for it to not be the game that we have envisioned in our heads. It's very understandable. Because this could pretty be a huge stepping stone for other games to follow suit. And so right now I've engaged my pulse engine, and I do like the effect that it has on the screen. Just like the warp drive, in Star Wars. It's very cool, man. It's very cool. Yeah, I do notice how these tooltips tend to not shut up, constantly remind you all the time, and they do not even have individual options in the HUD for them to be turned off. So I can turn this off right now. See that? Very fast, huh? And I do like the effect that you have when you are nearing the atmosphere of a planet. It burns in your front vision, which is very cool, very immersive. The sounds in this game, man, it's very, very nice. Wow, this is a lush planet. And I do love how the LOD system in this game behaves. Due to, this being comprised of voxels, we don't see very jarring, pop-ins, more like fade-ins is what I would call them, fade-ins. The fading effect is somewhat more smooth, in my opinion. So I will have to land here, and I could pretty much end this video right now because the tomato clearing is undiscovered. So yep, I think I've been to a planet that I want to settle down for a bit. I think this planet will suffice. I like the greenery of the scene. I like how barren this place looks. And that's not a criticism, by the way. It's just an observation, Oh, there's a bit of a slowdown right there. I wonder if I could land water. Oh, I can land water? Come on, man. Let me land water. Oh, so I do love how it says aerial landing not clear. The textures in this game is not exactly top notch. See right there? Yeah, just meh. Pretty much meh. I could hear some breathing in my right ear. Is it because of the water? Ooh. Ah. Also, I'm noticing when you're deep down the water, the frame rate takes a hit. Wonder what the reason could be. Could be reflections, though. Let's check it out. Could be, but I do not see an obvious reflection effect here. Maybe because of the lighting, because it's night. Let's see if it's in the morning. So that's it. No Man's Sky is not an impressive game by the standards of our own imagination, But take it as it is, and you'll see that it has some redeeming qualities to it. The promise of exploration is there. The novelty of exploring is pretty strong, albeit, short-lived if you're such a demanding gamer. But the micro game in this game is pretty sufficient, I think, in just allowing you to participate in playing the game. So I think that's just it. No Man's Sky is out now for PS4 and PC. I would suggest just waiting for the PC version to get fixed, because there's a lot of issues present in here that is likely to turn you off if your system is not up to snuff. Anyway, this is my ship, Equinox S64, and I'm Matt, and I'm about to take me leave from playing No Man's Sky. Ciao, and in the next video, I will see you again.